The explosion shook the entire ship. Jiho grabbed the wall as the lights flickered red. Alarms screamed through the corridor. He was a medical officer, not a soldier, but right now everyone on the coalition ship Horizon's Dream was in danger. "All medical staff to stations!" The voice crackled through his comm device. Jiho ran toward the medical bay, his boots pounding against the metal floor. Around him, crew members rushed in different directions. Some were human like him. Others were aliens from dozens of different species. Another explosion rocked the ship. This one was closer. Jiho stumbled and fell against the wall. Smoke poured from a damaged panel nearby. Through the smoke he heard something. A voice, weak and desperate. "Help, please." Jiho turned. The voice came from beyond a collapsed doorway. Debris blocked most of the entrance, but he could see movement inside. Someone was trapped. "Medical Officer Jiho, report to your station immediately," his comm device demanded. Jiho looked down the corridor toward the medical bay. Then he looked at the collapsed doorway. He made his choice. He started pulling away the debris. "Hold on!" he shouted. "I'm coming!" The metal was hot. It burned his hands through his gloves, but he kept pulling. Piece by piece, he cleared enough space to squeeze through. Inside, the room was a disaster. Sparking wires hung from the ceiling. Broken equipment lay everywhere. In the corner, pinned under a fallen beam, was a young alien woman. Her skin was pale blue, almost white. Her eyes were large and dark. She was Valanthe. Jiho had seen her species before. They worked as engineers and maintenance crew. The coalition never gave them important jobs. "Don't move," Jiho said gently. He knelt beside her. "What's your name?" "Nira," she whispered. Her voice was filled with pain. "You should go. I'm not important. Save the others." Jiho ignored her words. He examined the beam crushing her leg. It was heavy, but he could lift it if he was careful. He looked into Nira's dark eyes. "Every life has worth," he said. "Hold still." He braced himself and lifted. The beam was heavier than he expected. His muscles screamed. Sweat poured down his face, but he lifted it high enough. Nira pulled herself free with a cry of pain. The ship shook again. The beam slipped from Jiho's hands and crashed down. He grabbed Nira and pulled her away just in time. Her leg was badly injured. Blood soaked through her uniform. "Why?" Nira asked. Tears filled her eyes. "Why would you risk yourself for me? I'm Valanthe. We're nothing to the coalition. We're just workers. Expendable." Jiho pulled out his medical kit. He worked quickly, wrapping her leg and injecting pain medicine. The ship continued to shake around them. They needed to move soon. "Where I come from," Jiho said as he worked, "we believe something simple. We believe that every person matters, that every life is precious. It doesn't matter what species you are. It doesn't matter what job you have. You matter." Nira stared at him like he had spoken in an alien language. "I don't understand humans," she whispered. "You don't have to understand," Jiho said. He finished bandaging her leg and helped her stand. "But you do have to let me get you to safety." They made their way back through the collapsed doorway. The corridor was filling with smoke now. Emergency lights cast everything in red. Jiho supported Nira as she limped beside him. She was lighter than a human, but still heavy enough to slow them down. "The medical bay is this way," Jiho said. They turned a corner and nearly ran into a coalition officer. He was Korthan, one of the dominant species. He looked at them with cold eyes. "Medical officer, you were ordered to your station," the officer said. "I was rescuing an injured crew member, sir," Jiho replied. The officer looked at Nira with disgust. "A Valanthe? You risked your life and disobeyed orders for a Valanthe?" He shook his head. "You humans. So foolish, so primitive. You don't understand how things work here." Jiho felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. I understand perfectly, sir. A crew member was in danger. I helped her. That's how things should work. The officer sneered. You will face discipline for this. He walked away, leaving them in the smoky corridor. Nira's hand tightened on Jiho's shoulder. I'm sorry, she said. I've caused you trouble. You should have left me. No, Jiho said firmly. I shouldn't have. They reached the medical bay. It was chaos inside. Injured crew members lay on every available surface. Human doctors and nurses moved between them quickly. One of them, a woman named Sora, saw Jiho and waved him over. Jiho, where have you been? Never mind. We need help now. She noticed Nira. Bring her here. Let's get that leg properly treated. Jiho helped Nira onto a medical bed. Sora immediately began examining the injury. She was one of the best doctors on the ship. She worked with the same care on Nira that she would give to any patient. This is good field work, Jiho, Sora said, looking at his bandaging. You probably saved her leg. Maybe her life. Nira watched Sora work with wide eyes. You're all like this? She asked quietly. All you humans? Sora looked up and smiled. Like what? Kind, Nira said. You treat me like I matter. Sora's smile grew warmer. That's because you do matter. Every patient matters to me. That's why I became a doctor. The ship shook one final time, then stabilized. Through the comm system, a voice announced that the enemy had retreated. The battle was over. They had survived. As Sora continued working, Jiho stepped back. He was exhausted. His hands still burned from the hot metal. His uniform was torn and covered in dust. But when he looked at Nira, safely being treated, he felt something settle in his chest. He had done the right thing. Hours later, after the chaos had calmed, Jiho returned to check on Nira. She was resting, her leg in a healing cast. When she saw him, she tried to sit up. Rest, Jiho said gently. You need to heal. I wanted to thank you, Nira said. I've been thinking all day about what you said, about every life having worth. She looked down at her hands. My whole life I was taught that my people are less, that we exist to serve, that our lives don't matter as much as others. She looked back up at him. But you don't believe that. No, Jiho said. I don't. What makes you humans so different? Nira asked. Why do you see value where everyone else sees none? Jiho thought about this. Maybe because we remember being seen as less. Earth's history is full of times when we hurt each other, when some humans treated other humans as worthless. We learned from those mistakes. We learned that when you deny someone's worth, you become less yourself. Nira didn't fully understand, but something in her chest felt warm. I want to learn more, she said softly. About humans. About this way of thinking. Jiho smiled. Then you will. Rest now. We'll talk more when you're healed. As he left the medical bay, Jiho didn't know that this was just the beginning. He didn't know that saving one Volanthi woman would change everything. He had simply done what felt right. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change the galaxy. 3 months had passed since the battle. Nira's leg had healed completely, thanks to human medical technology. But something else had changed, too. She had been reassigned to work with the human engineering team. At first, she thought it was punishment. The Coalition didn't like when species mixed too much, but Captain Tae Yang, a human, had requested her specifically. We need good engineers, he had told her. And Dr. Sora says you're brilliant. I don't care what species you are. I care that you're good at your job. Now Nira spent every day working alongside humans, and every day confused her more. She watched them in the engineering bay. A human named Minho was singing while he worked. Actually singing. His voice echoed through the room as he repaired a power coupling. The song was in Korean, his native language. Nira didn't understand the words, but the melody was beautiful. Don't you need to concentrate? Nira asked him. Minho grinned. Music helps me think. My grandmother used to sing while she cooked. She said it made the food taste better. I figure it makes my repairs work better, too. Nira didn't understand this logic, but the repair he completed was perfect. Better than perfect. He had improved the design while fixing it. Why did you make it better? She asked. You were only ordered to repair it. Minho looked at her with surprise. Because I could. Why would I do just enough when I could do better? This was the paradox. Humans always did more than required. They didn't just follow orders. They improved. They created. They made things beautiful even when beauty wasn't necessary. In the mess hall, Nira observed more strangeness. A human soldier named Yuna sat with a Korthan engineer. The Korthan were the species that treated Volanthi as worthless. But Yuna laughed at something the Korthan said. They were friends. How can you be friends with him? Nira asked Yuna later. His people hate my people. Yuna's expression became serious. He's not his people, he's Dren. He's an individual, he's kind. He shares his food with me, he tells terrible jokes. She smiled. I judge people by who they are, not what they are. Another paradox. Humans separated the individual from the group. They saw people, not species. Jiho appeared in the mess hall. Nira's hearts both beat faster when she saw him. She had been trying to understand this reaction. It happened every time he was near. She watched as he got his food and looked around for a seat. His eyes found her. He smiled and walked over. May I sit? He asked. Yes, Nira said quietly. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Jiho asked, How are you adjusting to the engineering team? I'm confused, Nira admitted. Humans are confusing. Jiho laughed. It was a warm sound. We confuse ourselves sometimes too. What's confusing you today? Everything, Nira said. She pointed around the room. Yuna is friends with a Korthan. Minho sings while he works and makes things more beautiful than necessary. Dr. Sora spends her free time painting pictures. Captain Tai Yang reads ancient poetry before important battles. She looked at Jiho. Why do you do these things? They're not logical. They don't help you survive. Don't they? Jiho asked. He leaned forward. Nira, those things are exactly why we survive. The music, the art, the friendships across species lines, the poetry, they remind us what we're fighting for. They make us human. I don't understand, Nira said. Let me tell you a story, Jiho said. On Earth, thousands of years ago, humans were just beginning. We lived in caves. We hunted animals. Life was hard and dangerous. But do you know what we did? We painted on the walls of those caves. We made music with hollow bones. We told stories around fires. We didn't need to do these things to survive, but we did them anyway, because humans don't just survive. We live. We hope. We create. Nira thought about this. My people don't do these things. We work. We follow orders. We survive. But do you live? Jiho asked gently. The question hit Nira like a physical blow. Did her people live? Or did they just exist? She had never thought about the difference before. The next week, the ship received orders. They needed to investigate a distress signal on a planet called Taros 5. It was dangerous. The planet was in contested space, but the signal indicated survivors who needed help. Captain Tai Yang assembled a small team. Jiho was included as the medical officer. Nira was chosen for her engineering skills. They took a small shuttle down to the planet's surface. Taros 5 was a desert world. Red sand stretched in every direction. The distress signal led them to a crashed ship, half buried in a dune. They found 3 survivors inside. All were injured. All were from different species. Jiho immediately began treating them. He worked with the same care on each one. A Korthan with a broken arm, a Volanthi with burns. a species Nira didn't recognize with internal injuries. While Jiho worked, a sandstorm appeared on the horizon. It moved fast, a wall of red dust and wind. "We need to go now!" the pilot shouted. But Jiho hadn't finished. The unknown species was still critical. If they moved him now, he would die. "Give me 5 minutes," Jiho said, not looking up from his patient. "We don't have 5 minutes," the pilot argued. "Then go without me," Jiho said calmly. "I won't leave him to die." Nira felt something break inside her chest. This human would die rather than abandon a patient. A patient he didn't even know. A patient from a species he had never seen before. "I'll help," Nira heard herself say. She moved to Jiho's side. "Tell me what to do." Together they worked. Jiho's hands were steady as he repaired internal damage. Nira followed his instructions, handing him tools and holding the patient stable. The sandstorm grew closer. The wind began to howl. "Done," Jiho said finally. "Let's move." They carried the patient to the shuttle. The sandstorm hit just as the doors closed. The shuttle shook violently as they lifted off. Sand screamed against the hull. But they made it. They escaped. Back in orbit, Nira found Jiho in the shuttle's small medical area. He was cleaning his equipment. His hands were shaking slightly. The adrenaline was wearing off. "You would have died," Nira said, "for a stranger, for someone you didn't know." "I'm a doctor," Jiho said simply. "It's what I do." "No," Nira said. "It's who you are. It's who humans are." She felt moisture in her eyes. Valanthi rarely cried, but she felt close to it now. "I've been watching your people for 3 months. I've been trying to understand. And I think I finally do." "What do you understand?" Jiho asked. "You believe in something my people don't have a word for," Nira said. "I asked Sora about it. She told me the word, hope. You believe things can be better. You believe people matter. You believe tomorrow can be different from today. And because you believe it, you make it real." Jiho smiled. "Hope is powerful. It's carried humanity through some very dark times." "I want to learn it," Nira said. "I want to learn to hope like you do." "You already are," Jiho said. "The fact that you want to learn means you already have hope inside you." That night, Nira lay in her quarters thinking. She thought about everything she had seen humans do. The kindness, the creativity, the stubborn refusal to give up or give in, the way they saw worth in everyone. And she thought about Jiho, the way his smile made her feel warm, the way his voice calmed her fears, the way his presence made her want to be better. She felt something new growing in her chest. It was uncomfortable and wonderful at the same time. She asked the ship's computer for information. She learned the human word for this feeling. Love. But even as she recognized it, shame followed. How could she feel this way? She was Valanthi. Her people were followers, workers, nothing special. Jiho was human. His people changed the galaxy with their hope and courage. She whispered into the darkness of her room, to no one but herself. "I'm not worthy of you, human." The words hurt to say, but she believed them. She believed that no matter how much she learned, no matter how much she changed, she would never be good enough for someone like Jiho, for someone who saved lives without thinking, for someone who created hope where there was none. She made a decision that night. She would admire Jiho from a distance. She would learn from humans. She would try to be better, but she would never tell him how she felt. Because some distances were too great to cross. Some differences mattered too much. Or so she thought. The message came during the night shift. Nira was working in the engineering bay when the ship's alarms sounded. Not battle alarms. Command alarms. Every crew member was ordered to the main assembly hall immediately. Nira joined the crowd filing into the large room. She saw Jiho across the hall and felt that familiar warm feeling in her chest. He noticed her and gave a small wave. She waved back, then looked away quickly. Captain Taeyang stood at the front of the room. His face was serious, angry even. Beside him stood a human woman named Hana. She was a diplomatic officer. Her job was to represent humanity in coalition meetings. She looked tired and sad. "I'm going to be direct," Captain Taeyang said. His voice carried through the silent room. "The coalition leadership has given us orders for the next battle. They want us to engage the enemy fleet at the Crick system." He paused. "They've assigned Valanthi ships to lead the assault." A murmur ran through the crowd. Nira felt cold. Leading an assault meant taking the heaviest fire. It meant most of those ships wouldn't survive. "The Valanthi ships are old," Taeyang continued. "Poorly maintained, underarmed. The coalition knows this. They're sending them anyway. They're using them as sacrifices, as distractions while the main fleet attacks from another angle." The murmur became angry voices. Nira heard humans around her expressing outrage, but she also heard some of the Korthan officers agreeing with the plan. "Valanthi are expendable," one said. "That's what they're for." Taeyang's eyes flashed with anger. "No one is expendable. I will not follow this order." The room went silent. Refusing a direct order from Coalition Command was serious. It could mean prison. It could mean execution. "I won't either," said a voice. It was Jiho. He stood up. "I became a doctor to save lives, not to watch people be thrown away." Sora stood next. "I stand with Jiho, with Captain Taeyang. This is wrong." One by one, every human in the room stood. They stood together, silent and determined. Hana stepped forward. "The human delegation has been fighting this for months. The coalition isn't what we thought it was. It's not an alliance of equals. It's a hierarchy, a system built on oppression. Some species are valued, others are treated as tools, as slaves in everything but name." She activated a holographic display. It showed documents, records, proof. The coalition had systematically suppressed dozens of species. They rewrote history to erase the contributions of lesser races. They assigned them to dangerous jobs. They let them die while protecting important species. Nira felt sick. She had known her people were treated badly, but she hadn't known how deep it went, how intentional it was. "We tried to change it from within," Hana continued. "We proposed reforms, equal rights for all species, fair treatment. We were laughed at. They called us naive, primitive. They said this is how the galaxy works, how it's always worked. Then the galaxy needs to change," Taeyang said firmly. "I'm formally refusing the order. I won't sacrifice Valanthi lives. I won't be part of this system anymore." Admiral Keth appeared on the main screen. He was Korthan, one of the coalition's most powerful leaders. His face was full of contempt. "Captain Taeyang, you are relieved of command. You will be arrested for insubordination. Your ship will be seized. The human delegation is expelled from the coalition. You have 24 hours to leave coalition space." "We're not leaving," Taeyang said, "and you can't make us." "You would fight the entire coalition?" Keth asked. "You foolish humans and your primitive morality. You're a young species. You know nothing of how power works in this galaxy." "We know enough," Hana said, stepping forward. "We know that any system built on the suffering of others is rotten. We know that true strength comes from unity, not domination. We know that every sentient being has inherent dignity and worth." Keth laughed. "Your philosophy is weakness. It will destroy you." "Maybe," Hana said, "but we'd rather be destroyed believing in something good than survive believing in nothing." The transmission ended. The room erupted in voices. Some crew members were afraid. Some were angry. The Korthan officers left immediately, refusing to be part of a mutiny. But the humans remained, and slowly, others joined them. Valanthi crew members, engineers and workers, who had been treated as less their entire lives. Then members of other species who had suffered under the Coalition's hierarchy. Nira found herself walking toward the front of the room. Her legs felt strange, like they weren't fully under her control. She reached the platform where Taiyang and Hana stood. "I want to help," Nira said quietly. "Tell me what I can do." Taiyang looked at her with respect. "Can you contact the Volanthi ships? Tell them what's happening? Give them a choice?" Nira nodded. She had that authority as an engineer. She could access the Volanthi communication networks. Over the next hours Nira worked. She sent messages to every Volanthi ship in the fleet. She told them the truth. About the planned sacrifice. About the Coalition's true nature. About the humans who were willing to risk everything to stop it. The responses came slowly. Many Volanthi were afraid. They had been taught to obey, to accept their place. But some responded with anger, with questions, with the first small sparks of resistance. Jiho found Nira in the communication room late that night. She was exhausted. She had been working for 12 hours straight. "You should rest," he said gently. "I can't," Nira said. "My people need to know. They deserve to know." Jiho sat beside her. "You're very brave." "No," Nira said. "I'm terrified. The Coalition could destroy us all." "Being brave doesn't mean not being afraid," Jiho said. "It means doing the right thing, even when you're afraid." Nira looked at him, really looked at him, his kind eyes, his gentle smile, the way he always seemed to believe in her. "Why do you do this?" she asked. "Why risk everything for people like me? You could have stayed quiet, followed orders, been safe." "Because it's right," Jiho said simply. "Because you matter. Because that's what separates civilization from barbarism. We either believe all people have worth, or we believe none of them do. There's no middle ground." "I don't understand how you can be so sure," Nira said. "How you can believe so strongly in things you can't prove." Jiho thought for a moment. "Let me tell you about Earth's history. About a time when humans didn't believe these things. When some humans owned other humans as property. When we divided ourselves by skin color and gender and nationality. When we treated each other as less than fully human." He told her stories. About slavery and segregation, about wars and genocide. About the worst of what humanity had done. "We were broken," Jiho said. "We hurt each other terribly. But we changed. Not easily, not quickly. It took generations. It took people who stood up and said, 'This is wrong,' even when everyone else said they were crazy. Even when they were arrested or killed for it. They kept believing. They kept fighting. And slowly we became better." "How?" Nira asked. "How did you change?" "We decided to," Jiho said. "We decided that our old ways were wrong. That we wanted to be better than our worst selves. It wasn't because we were special or chosen. It was because we chose to be better. And we kept choosing it every day, even when it was hard." Nira felt tears on her face. "I want that," she whispered. "I want my people to have that choice, to decide to be better." "Then give it to them," Jiho said. "Keep sending your messages. Keep telling the truth. Change doesn't happen all at once. It starts with one person deciding to be brave, then another, until enough people are being brave that the world has to change." Nira looked at the communication console, at the messages she had sent, at the responses coming back, some angry, some afraid, but some hopeful, some asking, "What do we do next?" "I'm not worthy of this," Nira said quietly. "I'm not worthy of you, of your people. You're so much more than we are." Jiho took her hand gently. Nira's breath caught. His touch was warm. "Don't say that," Jiho said firmly. "You are worthy. You've always been worthy. The Coalition tried to make you believe you weren't. They tried to make all the lesser species believe they deserved to be treated badly. But it was a lie, Nira. A lie told by people who wanted power. But my people, Nira started. We're weak. We're followers. We've never stood up for ourselves. You're standing up right now, Jiho said. And you're not weak. You're afraid, but you're doing it anyway. That's not weakness. That's strength. Nira wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that she could be worthy, that her people could be more than they had been. But the doubt was so deep. A lifetime of being told she was less couldn't be erased by one conversation. I don't know how to believe in myself the way you believe in me, she said. Then borrow my belief until you find your own, Jiho said. I believe in you. I believe in your people. I believe you can be more than what the coalition told you you could be. Let that be enough for now. Nira looked into his eyes and saw no doubt there. Only conviction, only faith in her people. In the possibility of change. She squeezed his hand. Okay, she whispered. I'll try. Outside the ship, the galaxy was changing. The coalition was fracturing. Species were choosing sides. War was coming. But inside this small communication room, something else was happening. Hope was growing. Not the blind hope of fools, but the stubborn hope of people who decided that tomorrow could be different, that they could make it different. And for the first time in her life, Nira felt worthy of that hope. The war came faster than anyone expected. Within 2 weeks, the coalition had split. The dominant species on one side, the oppressed species, and the humans on the other. Dozens of ships left the coalition fleet to join the rebellion, but dozens more stayed loyal to the old system. Nira barely slept anymore. She worked 18 hours each day, designing new defensive systems. The rebellion needed every advantage they could get. The coalition had more ships, better weapons, and centuries of military experience. What the rebellion had was desperation, and hope, and human ingenuity. Minho worked beside Nira in the engineering bay. They had become friends over the past weeks. He taught her Korean songs. She taught him Volanthi engineering techniques. Together, they created things neither could have made alone. Look at this, Nira said one evening. She pulled up a holographic display. It showed a new shield design. If we route power through the secondary systems and use a rotating frequency, we can create a shield that adapts to incoming fire. Minho studied it carefully. His eyes went wide. Nira, this is incredible. This could change everything. This could save hundreds of ships. Maybe, Nira said, but her voice was uncertain. What's wrong? Minho asked. Who should have it? Nira asked quietly. The humans? They'll use it well. They'll protect people with it. But my people? She gestured to the display. We're cowards, Minho. What if the Volanthi use this technology and just run away? What if we waste it? Minho frowned. You don't really believe that. I do, Nira said. She felt the weight of generations pressing on her. My people have never stood up for ourselves. We've always bowed, always obeyed. Why would we start now? Why would we be brave when we've been cowards for so long? Because brave humans are teaching you, Minho said. Because you're learning. It's not enough, Nira said. You can't teach courage. Either you have it or you don't. Humans have it. My people don't. She didn't notice Jiho standing in the doorway. He had heard everything. He walked into the room slowly. Can I speak with Nira? He asked Minho. Alone? Minho nodded and left. Jiho sat down across from Nira. His face was serious. Do you really believe your people are cowards? He asked. Yes, Nira said. She couldn't meet his eyes. I've been thinking about it for weeks, looking at the evidence. Humans risk everything for what's right. You always have. But Volanthi? We hide. We obey. We survive by being small and quiet. That's what we are. And me? Jiho asked. Am I brave because I'm human? Yes, Nira said. You risked your life to save me. You stood up to the coalition. You're willing to die for what you believe. That's who humans are. Jiho was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was gentle but firm. I need to tell you something about humans, he said. Something we don't like to talk about. Our history isn't all heroism and courage. We weren't always the people you see now. He pulled up a holographic display. It showed images from Earth's past. Nira saw cities burning, people in chains, mountains of bodies. This is Earth, Jiho said. This is what humans did to each other. For thousands of years, we enslaved our own species. We committed genocide. We tortured and killed over differences in skin color, religion, nationality. We destroyed our own planet through greed. We built weapons that could kill millions in seconds, and we used them. Nira stared at the images. She had known humans had wars. But this was horror on a massive scale. We were cowards too, Jiho continued. When our governments did terrible things, most people stayed silent. They looked away. They told themselves it wasn't their problem. When other humans suffered, we justified it. We said they deserved it, that they were less than us. We were very good at being cowards when it was convenient. But you changed, Nira said. Eventually, Jiho said. After we nearly destroyed ourselves. After enough people died that we couldn't ignore it anymore. We changed slowly, one generation at a time. And do you know what? We're still changing. We're still fighting against our worst instincts. Humans still do terrible things sometimes. We're not perfect. We're not special. Then why? Nira asked. Why are you different now? Why do you risk everything for others when your history shows you don't have to? Because we decided to be, Jiho said simply. That's the only reason, Nira. We weren't born brave. We weren't born kind. We chose it. Every day we choose it. And some days we fail. Some days we're still cowards. But we keep choosing to try again. He took her hands in his. You think humans have some special quality that makes us worthy. But we don't. We were broken. We were cruel. We were everything you fear your people are. The only difference is that we decided we wanted to be better. Nira felt something crack inside her chest, like a wall she had built was starting to crumble. But it's easier for you, she said desperately. Humans are strong. You've always been warriors. My people are weak. Are you weak? Jiho asked. You've been working 18-hour days to help the rebellion. You contacted every Valanthi ship to tell them the truth, knowing the coalition might kill you for it. You created technology that could save thousands of lives. Is that weak? That's different, Nira said. That's just me. I'm talking about my people. Your people are you, Jiho said. They're individuals just like you. Some will be brave, some will be afraid, some will choose to change, some won't. Just like humans, just like every species. Nira pulled her hands away. She stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, stars moved slowly past. I want to believe you, she said quietly. I want to believe my people can be more. That I can be worthy of... She stopped. Worthy of what? Jiho asked gently. Of you, Nira whispered. I'm not worthy of you, human. My people, we're nothing like yours. How can I ever be enough for someone who risks everything for others? Someone who believes in impossible things? Someone who changes the galaxy just by being in it? Jiho walked to her side. He didn't touch her, but she could feel his presence. Warm and steady. You already are enough, he said. You've always been enough. The coalition lied to you, Nira. They told you that you were less. They told you that your people were worthless. They told you this because it kept you controllable, but it was always a lie. How do you know? Nira asked. Tears ran down her face. "Because I see you," Jiho said. "I see someone brilliant and brave and kind. I see someone who cares deeply about her people. I see someone who works until she collapses to help others. That's not worthless, Nira. That's not less. That's worthy of everything good in the universe." Nira turned to look at him. His eyes were warm. There was no pity in them, no condescension, just respect, just care. "But what if I fail?" she asked. "What if I give this shield technology to my people and they run away? What if they prove that everything the Coalition said about us is true?" "Then they'll prove it," Jiho said. "But I don't think they will. I think when given the choice, when given the tools and the hope, most people choose to be brave. Not all, but enough. And those brave ones will inspire others. Just like you're inspiring me right now." "I'm inspiring you?" Nira asked in disbelief. "How?" "Because you keep going," Jiho said. "Even when you're terrified, even when you don't believe in yourself, you keep working, you keep hoping, you keep trying to be better. That's the most human thing anyone can do, and you're doing it." The alarm sounded before Nira could respond. Red lights flashed. Captain Taeyang's voice echoed through the ship. "All hands to battle stations. Coalition forces approaching. This is not a drill." Jiho and Nira ran to their positions. Jiho to the medical bay. Nira to the bridge where her shield technology had been installed. The Coalition fleet appeared on the view screens. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. They filled the space around the rebel fleet like a swarm of insects. Nira's hands flew over the controls, activating her new shields. They powered up, surrounding the human ships in a shimmering field. But her hands were shaking. The weight of the moment pressed down on her. Captain Taeyang stood at the center of the bridge, calm in the chaos. "Nira, did you send the shield specifications to the Valanthi ships?" Nira froze. She had the file ready. One button would transmit it to every Valanthi vessel in the rebel fleet. But her finger hovered over the control. What if they ran? What if they used her technology to escape instead of fight? What if she was wrong to believe in them? "Nira?" Taeyang asked. The Coalition ships opened fire. Energy beams lit up space. The battle had begun, and Nira still couldn't press the button. Her people's entire future hung in the balance. Everything Jiho had said echoed in her mind. About choice, about humans being broken and choosing to be better, about worth being something you decided, not something you were born with. But deciding was hard. Believing was hard. The bridge shook as weapons fire hit the shields. The technology held, but how long could it last? Nira looked at her hand, at the button that would share her technology, at the choice that would determine everything. And she realized that Jiho was right about one thing. Worth wasn't something given. It was something chosen. The question was, could she choose it? Could she trust her people to choose it? The battle raged around her, and Nira faced the hardest decision of her life. The bridge shook again, harder this time. Nira grabbed the console to steady herself. Through the view screen, she saw Coalition ships everywhere. They were outnumbered 5-1, maybe more. "Shields at 70%, someone shouted. Captain Taeyang's voice was steady. "All ships, maintain formation. Return fire." Nira's finger still hovered over the button. The button that would send her shield technology to the Valanthi ships. Her hands shook. Sweat ran down her face despite the cool air on the bridge. "Nira," Taeyang said quietly, standing beside her. "I can't order you to do this. It has to be your choice." "What if I'm wrong?" Nira whispered. "What if they run?" "Then they run," Taeyang said. "But they deserve the chance to choose, just like humans needed the chance to choose to be better, just like everyone deserves that chance." Nira thought about Jiho, about his words, about how humans weren't born brave, they chose it, about how worth was a decision, not a destiny, She thought about her people. Generations of them, told they were worthless, told they existed to serve, told that courage wasn't for them, but what if they had never had the chance? What if no one had ever given them the tools and said, "You can choose to be brave"? The ship shook violently. The shields were failing. They needed help. Now. Nira closed her eyes and pressed the button. The transmission went out. Every Valanthi ship in the rebel fleet received the shield specifications, instructions on how to install it, how to use it. And then there was nothing to do but wait. "Shields at 40%, the tactical officer called out. Nira watched the view screen. She could see the Valanthi ships in the formation. Small vessels, old and poorly maintained. The Coalition had never given them good equipment. The Valanthi ships didn't move. Nira's hearts sank. They weren't going to use the shields. They were going to... One of the Valanthi ships activated the new shields. Then another. Then another. Within seconds, every Valanthi vessel in the fleet glowed with the protective energy field, and instead of running, they moved forward. The Valanthi ships pushed ahead of the human vessels, placing themselves between the Coalition fleet and the rebels. They were small, but with the new shields, they could take damage. They could protect the others. "By the stars," Taeyang breathed. "They're covering us." Nira couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her people, her cowardly, broken people, they had chosen to be brave. The battle shifted. With the Valanthi ships absorbing the worst of the Coalition fire, the rebel fleet could maneuver. They could fight back effectively. The tide began to turn. But the Coalition wasn't finished. Admiral Keth's flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons, pushed through the fleet. It targeted the Horizon's Dream directly. "Brace for impact," someone shouted. The flagship's main weapon fired, a beam of pure energy that could cut through a planet. It hit the Horizon's Dream directly. The shields held, barely. The ship spun wildly. Systems exploded. People were thrown from their stations. Nira hit the floor hard. Her head struck metal. Everything went blurry. She tasted blood. Around her, the bridge was chaos. Sparks flew from broken consoles. The lights flickered. Through the noise and confusion, she heard someone calling for medical teams. The words were fuzzy, distant. But one word cut through clearly. "Jiho is down! Medical bay took a direct hit!" Fear shot through Nira like electricity. She pulled herself up, ignoring the pain, ignoring the blood running down her face. She ran. The corridors were damaged. She climbed over debris, squeezed through collapsed doorways. Her leg hurt. Something was wrong with it. She didn't care. The medical bay was a disaster. The ceiling had partially collapsed. Equipment lay shattered everywhere, and in the center of the wreckage, Jiho lay unconscious. A beam had fallen on him, pinning him to the floor. Sora was there, trying to lift the beam. She was crying. "It's too heavy. I can't..." Nira pushed past her. She grabbed the beam. It was massive, impossibly heavy, but she thought about Jiho lifting a beam off her 3 months ago. How he had risked everything to save her. How he had taught her about worth and choice and hope. She lifted. The beam moved. Inch by inch, Nira raised it. Her muscles screamed. Something tore in her shoulder. But she kept lifting. Sora pulled Jiho free. Nira let the beam fall. She collapsed beside Jiho. Sora immediately began treating him, checking his injuries, working with hands that shook. "How bad?" Nira asked. "Bad," Sora said. "Internal bleeding, broken ribs, possible spinal damage." Her voice broke. "I don't know if I can..." "You can," Nira said firmly. "He believes in you. I believe in you. You can save him." Sora nodded. She took a deep breath and focused. Her hands became steady. She worked with the same calm determination that Jiho always showed. Nira held Jiho's hand. It was cold. She squeezed it gently. "Don't you dare die," she whispered to him. "You told me I was worthy. You have to live so I can tell you the same thing. You have to live so I can tell you. She stopped. The words were hard, but she had to say them. So I can tell you that I love you. Sora glanced at her with wide eyes, but kept working. Nira didn't care who heard. I love you, Jiho. You made me believe I could be more than I was. You showed me hope. You can't leave now. Not when I finally understand what you were trying to teach me. Jiho's eyes fluttered open. They were unfocused, confused, but he saw her. His lips moved. Nira, he whispered. His voice was so weak. You pressed the button. Your people, they were brave. Because you taught me to believe in them, Nira said. Tears ran down her face. Because you taught me to believe in myself. You're worthy, Jiho said. His voice was fading. You always were. I tried to tell you. I know, Nira said. I know now, but you have to stay with me. Please. I'm not done learning from you. You don't need me to learn, Jiho said. His eyes started to close. You just need to believe. Stay awake, Sora commanded. She was working frantically. Stay with us, Jiho. But his eyes closed. His hand went limp in Nira's grip. No, Nira said. No, Jiho, please. Sora worked for what felt like hours. It was probably only minutes. Finally, she sat back. Her face was exhausted. He's stable, she said. Barely, but stable. He'll live. Nira sobbed. Relief flooded through her so powerfully that she nearly collapsed. Jiho would live. He would live. Outside the medical bay, the battle was ending. The coalition fleet was retreating. The rebels had won. Not through superior force, but through unity. Through species that had been told they were worthless choosing to be brave. Days passed. The coalition officially surrendered. They agreed to reform, to end the hierarchy, to treat all species as equals. It would take time, years probably. But change had begun. Jiho woke after 2 days. Nira was sitting beside his medical bed. She had barely left his side. Hey, he said weakly. Hey, Nira said. She took his hand gently. Did we win? Jiho asked. We won, Nira confirmed. The Valanthi ships fought bravely. My people chose to be more than they were told they could be. Because of you. Because you believed in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. Jiho smiled. I knew they would. I knew you would. I told you something when you were unconscious, Nira said. Her voice shook. I don't know if you heard it. I heard it, Jiho said softly. You said you loved me. Nira looked down at their joined hands. I do. I love you, but I also said I wasn't worthy of you. I believed that for so long. I believed I could never be enough for someone like you. And now? Jiho asked. Nira looked up, met his eyes. Now I understand. Worth isn't about being perfect. It's not about being born special. It's about choosing to be better every day. It's about believing in tomorrow even when today is hard. You taught me that. She squeezed his hand. I'm not perfect. My people aren't perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to be afraid sometimes. But we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep choosing to be brave. And that makes us worthy. Not of you specifically, but of the future we want to build. Jiho's smile widened. Now you sound like a human. Is that a compliment? Nira asked. The highest, Jiho said. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Jiho spoke again. You said you love me. I do, Nira confirmed. I love you too, Jiho said. I have for a while. I didn't say anything because I thought... I don't know. That maybe it was too complicated. Different species, different cultures. Is it too complicated? Nira asked. Probably, Jiho said. But humans are good at doing complicated things. And you're learning from us. So maybe we can figure it out together. Nira leaned forward and kissed him gently. It was strange, alien. Their mouths were different shapes, but it was also right, perfect in its imperfection. When she pulled back, Jiho was smiling. "We're going to be okay," he said. "All of us, humans, Valanthi, everyone." "How do you know?" Nira asked. "Because we're choosing to be," Jiho said. "Every day, we're choosing hope over despair, unity over division, love over hate. That's all we need." 6 months later, Nira stood on the surface of a new planet. It was green and blue, like Earth. But it was theirs. The first joint colony, humans and Valanthi building a home together. Jiho stood beside her. He had recovered fully from his injuries. They worked together now, helping to establish the colony, planning the future. Around them, humans and Valanthi worked side by side, building homes, planting crops, creating something new, something better. A young Valanthi engineer approached Nira. She was nervous. "Excuse me," she said. "You're Nira, right? The one who created the shield technology?" "I am," Nira said. "I wanted to thank you," the young engineer said. "You gave us a choice, to be brave or to run. My whole life, I thought Valanthi couldn't be heroes, but you showed us we could. You changed everything." After the engineer left, Jiho put his arm around Nira's shoulders. "You're a hero now," he said teasingly. "No," Nira said. "I just made a choice. The same choice you've been making your whole life, to believe in tomorrow." She looked up at the sky. 2 suns hung there, painting everything in golden light. "Thank you," she said softly, "for teaching us that we could be more than what we were told we could be." Jiho smiled. "You taught yourselves. We just showed you it was possible." They stood together, watching the colony grow, watching different species work together as equals, watching the future unfold. Nira thought about the words she had whispered so long ago. "I'm not worthy of you, human." She had believed them then. Believed them with her whole heart. But now she understood. Worthiness wasn't about deserving someone else. It was about becoming someone you could be proud of. It was about choosing to be better every single day, even when it was hard. And as she stood there, helping to build a new world, Nira finally felt it, deep in her chest, strong and sure and unshakable. She felt worthy. Not because a human had told her she was. Not because she had proven herself in battle, but because she had chosen to believe in herself, to believe in her people, to believe in tomorrow. And that choice, that simple decision to hope, had changed everything. The galaxy was still imperfect. There would be more struggles, more challenges, but there would also be more people choosing to be brave, more species learning to work together, more individuals deciding that they were worthy of the future they wanted to build. And somewhere in that future, hand in hand with the human she loved, Nira would keep choosing hope every single day.